Think insurance is boring? Think again. Many experts say that insurance is the most powerful industry on the planet. So join us and discover why the QuotersCast is making insurance super cool. Okay, welcome to the QuotersCast, and my guest today is Hurricane H. And he is the president and founder of the EMBC TV network, which is a collection of channels, and it's for podcasters, authors, and content creators, which I'm looking forward to finding more about. And you've got more than 27 years experience in the health field, health insurance and managed care field as a sales executive and founder. And so, you know, your kind of knowledge, I think, and expertise is hard to come by. You seem to be a real specialist in this area. And this is something I think a lot of people want to know about because it's a complex field. So if you can give us maybe a little bit of background on how you ended up where you are today, that would be great.
That's a lot. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And so I have a very diversified background, as you alluded to. I mean, the majority of the time actually now it's 29 years.
Wow.
Time flew. But yeah, so managed care insurance, so managed care is really a concept of insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
For government programs. And so it's really the insurance world, the managed care. It is part of healthcare. It's the payer side, but also, the sales side of it and the business aspect and marketing, business development. So that's kind of like where I've been, on my career path in one role, at least in one industry, if you want to call it that. That's the healthcare or insurance. Again, they're interchangeable for me. They're all the same.
Okay. Yeah.
I had other careers, in parallel. I've been in real estate. I used to teach real estate, law in New York. I've dabbled with real estate as well. That's always been. I believe in side, hustles or like, what do you call it? Never put your eggs in one basket kind of concept. Okay. So I believe that in this world, you have to have something. And not only it's an opportunity to learn more, because you always learn and apply those additional learnings into whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm. And some of the skills are literally workable in both, aspects of whatever I did, right? So training is part of it, pitching is part of it, investing, doing stuff. It's still part of sales and business. So you do the same. And about 3 years ago, just before COVID, literally 2019, there was a situation where I had an opportunity. Well, I was challenged. I want to call it this way. I was challenged to a concept, and what it was. So I was the VP of sales in Medicare sales specifically, and there was an opportunity for us to be on a radio show. So this is a story about the media, and so I had assigned someone to actually go into this particular radio show for an hour to talk about our benefits. And so I was challenged, and the question was like, well, Hisham at the time, the hurricane part, I'm going to get to it right now. It's like, well, you're the VP, you're supposed to be on the show. I'm like, no, I'm the VP. I'm not supposed to be on the show. The best person to be on the show is someone actually that sells this on a day-to-day basis, and that's my best rep. And, it's someone that can answer the question. Can I answer the questions? Probably I can. But when you have a team, the team, is better than you in what they do, because that's where they do, that's their job, right? That's what their expertise is. Just because I lead the team doesn't mean that I cannot do it, or that doesn't mean I'm the best fit. You have people that have organization, you have a spokesperson, right? And when you have a representative, that's what they do. So anyways, that was it. So I got a little annoyed about that. And I said, are you questioning whether I can do the shows or the ability, to make a decision? Oh, maybe you can do it. And kind of that's how I felt about it. I was like, oh no, you're wrong about that. First of all, I've been on TV, I've been on radio, Spanish, English, French over the years, even Arabic, TV. So since I was a kid. And so that's not a problem for me. And if you're talking about me being on a talk show, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
So I decided, I decided, you know what, I'm going to prove this person wrong. And I started my own thing. And that was the actual idea. Now I needed, that was just the motivator, I would say, or the motivation behind it. The idea was always lingering. But that's the other thing. So I had already suggested to start a YouTube for the company. And I was kind of like, met with some sort of a like, it's okay, we don't need it, it's not going to work for us. Okay, because it was, if you're in a business, you want to be in podcasts, you want to be in stuff like this, right? But it seemed that they did not buy the concept. And I'm like, okay, that's okay with me. So between that first element and the second one of the challenge, I don't take challenges that easy. If you challenge me, I will meet your challenge up easy. I will do my thing, right? But I needed also a concept behind it. And the concept was that I realized that there is the weather channel. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of stuff. But is there a health channel that people can watch and learn from? I have not heard of one. And so why not, start? Someone's got to start it, so might as well be me. And this is, and so literally in December 2019, I started putting all the stuff. In January, I launched the radio. It's iHealth Radio USA. It's iHealth Radio, and the website is www.ihealthradiousa.com. The exchange was not available the other way, so I had to do the USA. And also I wanted to highlight it's based in the US. So that was it. And then as I started doing that first show, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I doing just audio? I can also do, visual. So now the iHealth channel begun. So now I have the iHealth Radio and the iHealth channel, both of them combined. And because COVID came on, right? So that's just before 2 months before COVID. As a matter of fact, the first show that I did, literally like a field report, it was on a cruise ship. And it was just when the COVID just begun. I did also another one in New York City, Times Square, to see like how the feelings were. And then that was like my first initial stuff. And then I started doing some sales talks, because that's my industry. So sales techniques, prospecting, all the stuff, and insurance, managed care, broker. That was before even I started getting, guests. And in that time with COVID, my wife actually did, she's in the fitness. I'm in the fitness. She's in the fitness. That's just for me, it's my hobby. I mean, I've been in martial arts all my life, and I've been always trying to be fit. And I believe you have to have a healthy mind and body together, right? And spirit, the three of them combined. Anyway, so when the gyms were hit the hardest, we converted our basement, at least portion of it, to a studio for her classes to continue, because she was doing classes, but she couldn't do it because they were shut down. So, and since I already had the equipment for the podcast, well, for the shows, I didn't call it podcast because really to me it was talk shows, right? And channel. But I said, I can do this for you, or we can, create this so you can broadcast to people. And we started doing that. We had nothing. I mean, the basement was literally just, we moved furniture around, we had, nice little TV set and all this stuff. And the TV is still there, actually. We use it now on the show, but it was there. So we kind of converted stuff, moved things around, and we started immediately. I mean, before even people started doing virtual, we were already there. And then we created our own brand at that point. So it became the Fit and Fab, and I said, well, the Fit and Fab channel, this doesn't have to be just for us. We can open it to other people. So now fitness, health, wellness, it's all the same. So we started there. And then from that point on, every little, event that happens, we create another channel that adds up with different themes and value. And they're all interchangeable, as I said before, they all kind of like tie in together under the idea of health and wellness, because everything affects us. I mean, yes. Your health is impacted by everything. So therefore your fitness, your wellness, you want to make people feel good inside out, upside down, whatever you want to call it. That's the concept, right? And so that was kind of like the story of Hurricane H, from the beginning to well, I did kind of talk about the overall experience in managed care, and I can go back to it, and I'm sure we're going to do that. But that was like how we got into, this concept. And 3.5 years, and for now, just about close to about 100,000 downloads, a few, 100K, in views, and maybe combined about maybe 400,000, followers somewhere in that range. And wow. So now I evolved it into more with guests and things. And then I realized that there are directories for people where people can, list their podcast. I mean, Spotify and these things I'm doing too. But I realized but that's all. You can just list it. Doesn't mean anything. Nobody's doing anything for you. So why not do something for people? And actually, since I have the platforms and I have the channels and I have the viewers and I have the audiences, and I can feed to all these worlds, and I am everywhere pretty much. And so my shows play everywhere. So if you want to catch a show somewhere, you will be able to see it visually, or you can hear it audio somewhere on a podcast platform, on our own radio, or you can watch it on our websites, and we have a couple of them. And that's it. So that's the network. And in El Madi, by the way, EMBC is El Madi Media Broadcasting Corp, which is my last name.
Oh,
So
okay. Right.
and it kind of rhymed because I wanted something that's like, we know ABC, NBC, CBC, CNN, all those acronyms. So it came in nicely, as the NBC network. So El Madi Media Broadcasting Network, and so that's it. And shrunk, and now we have an acronym for it too. So it's the story behind everything that you've seen or heard.
Okay. Yeah, that's excellent. When I was researching you, I came across that, and I was quite excited because it sounds to me like you've incorporated a lot of the problems that new podcasters like this is, the QuotersCast is, getting attention, getting it out there, getting great guests and that kind of stuff. It seems like you've offer so much more than just the directory. So I'm actually looking forward to signing up and using it because you've made it very affordable. You have a free option. You keep it under $100 per month. And it from what I can tell, you offer an awful lot.
Yeah, Renee, I have to say, I did the math, and because I bought all those services myself for my system, right? And I know how much it costs to have each one of those directories to get the premium stuff, right? And to be able to do all the big stuff. It costs a lot of money. So for me, I know how much it costs me, a couple of $1,000 a month. And so to me, I'm already doing the work. And the idea is, this is not about me. This is not about my channel. This is about bringing resources and opening up to the world all the information that's available. You are a resource. People are doing work, but they're not heard enough. They're not seen enough. Or they may be heard, but not seen. The idea is just that we're sharing to the world. As a matter of fact, the mission of my concept is very simple: educate, enlighten, inspire, and motivate. And the motto is time to evolve. So we need to evolve, beyond the standard. I guess media has been around. This is the new media age, and it's different because it's not about news and just entertainment. It's about resource. And many people have businesses. Again, DJs, authors, and these people are doing work out there. Some of them are making it through in different ways. One thing that I also experienced during the COVID time, for example, Facebook, if you're a DJ, you have copyright issues. You can't even play your music, right? You go to TikTok. Yeah. So that was kind of like, every time I looked at an opportunity, an area where there's dilemma, I kind of try to figure out a solution for it. And again, it got handy. My latest addition right now is actually what we call the bargains channel. And we just launched it about a month and a half ago. And the bargains channel is really like a QVC, for the average business.
Oh.
Because think about it, right? There's QVC. I love them. I mean, they're great. You can do your shopping there. There's the home network, the home shopping network. They're huge. But not everybody that has a business can be on those things. And, here you can scale at any level, and basically all it does is that, you get your opportunity to feed into the network, and your show is broadcasting across everything that I do. And therefore you will be able to reach people and talk about your own products. I don't even have to be there. This is not something where I have to be interact. You can send me a video about your presentation and it will play, or you can be live literally with people and your phone number and your connection. The good news is this is not a daily activity. Because once the show is done, or your time is done on the studio, you will be recorded, and obviously it will be replayed and played and played and replayed, evergreen. So you might get at least instantly, you might get at least, a month later, you might get at least a year later. Because as long as you're out in business, out for business and doing business, you're going to get somebody. So again, that's another, just to give you another concept that we added. So we started with health. We went to fitness, wellness, glamour, and, gaming. I mean, my son, that's the other thing. So my son and I were talking, it's like, well, why don't you have your own channel? You're a gamer. And so we created the gamers channel. So now he's playing on the gaming stuff. And believe it or not, all these things link, because business is part of life. Money is part of life. And, everything we do affects your health one way or the other. And so that's kind of like the concept. So I try to get a nice, full 360 of all opportunities. And if I think of something else that I'm missing, I will add another channel for it. That's all.
That's awesome. You're incredibly ambitious. No, this is great. And let's get into the meat of insurance specifically, because you have a lot of experience there, and you're also clearly a great salesperson. So, and I also know 92% of people who get their insurance license fall off within the first year. I mean, this industry is very difficult to be very successful in for most people, it seems. That's from what I've experienced. So what kind of tips can you offer people? Maybe some specific examples in your experience. I mean, it's so extensive. What would you tell somebody who's starting out?
Also, a few things just
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, I've been in the insurance space for the longest. Um, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I enjoy it. And on the side note, I also have a brokerage agency. So basically,
Oh,
for people, yeah, for people that actually we recruit people and we have agents. And so I can tell
oh,
you, how hard, how easy, how difficult, and what works and what doesn't. And so it is a great opportunity. And insurance, obviously, there's more. I mean, we specialize in Medicare sales and like ACA and all those types of things. But in the insurance, if you have an insurance license, I mean, you have different types. PNC, you can do life and health, and you can do just health on its own, accident and health. So we kind of focus on the accident and health, but we have products for life. And I'm not promoting here the agency itself. I'm just talking about like the concept, right? And it is a great opportunity to make money. It is definitely something that's needed. I mean, everybody needs an insurance for their home. Everybody needs an insurance for their car. Everybody, if you have a business, you need insurance. If you're a tenant, you need insurance. And if you live, you need health insurance.
right.
So at the end of the day, you need some sort of insurance. Car insurance is a must. Health insurance is a must. And so it just depending on how it is. The license in itself is not difficult, as you know. I mean, people got to get a course, depending on what course you need, or multiple courses if you're going to do multiple portfolios and different opportunities, like the PNC license separate, the accident health or live and accident health is separate, and you can combine those, and then now you can start basically becoming an agent or a broker, and you can work independently. Now there's two ways. Some of these folks that do the licensing, they can work for health plans. Well, and by the way, it's funny, I said health plans. My agency's name is Health Plans, but I was referring to the health plans or the carriers with an S as opposed to with a Z. My company is with a Z. So again, play on words, right? And so the concept is very simple. If you want a salary, benefits, and you want to get your feet wet into the industry, a good way probably to start is to get into a company. And not all the companies recruit captive agents, but in some of the bigger cities they do. Like New York City, it's pretty common. All the health plans, they have a staff that is dedicated to selling in the field. These are captive agents. They get a salary and a commission. Sometimes some bonuses and things like that. But they're really employees, and that's one way to do it. The other way is the standard way, which is more nationally acceptable. You work somewhere, you get a license and start part time to kind of add income value, right? Another resource of income.
Yeah.
Or another revenue. I mean, people do it as an income stream, right? Some people start part-time because, you have to balance it until you get your feet wet and get ready, get the knowledge, skills you need. There is a ramp-up time because you got to build your momentum. You got to know the business enough. In the health specifically, you need to understand what you're doing. Are you working with corporations for business or employer groups and things like that? Are you working for individuals like in the Medicare space? What is your, who is your, customer base and where you can meet them and so on and so forth. Your network, your business development skills have to get there. Some of the opportunities that you have, for example, working with providers or working in the faith-based organizations, or you're working with, community organizations, doing events. All these things are multiple places where you can actually, diversify opportunities and prospect and eventually, thrive. Great news about insurance is if you're not a captive agent, and you are independent, it's almost the same. And I'll explain. Because if you add the numbers dollar to dollar, if you're a captive, yes, you get a salary base and that's guaranteed plus benefits, blah, blah, blah. But if you were independent, 6 or 7 apps will qualify to that salary base anyway. So everything else, you're basically dividing it. If your goal is, let's say 20 on the captive side, and you do the same 20 here, you're probably going to make the same money or more. But the other caveat is that because you're in the insurance space and you're independent, now you have residual income. See, that's the part where people don't realize that it's not just one-time deal; it's a future income revenue.
Right.
And then you tack on; it's really compounded year after year. And so, after a couple of years in the business with a nice portfolio, you pretty much are good set, because as long as these people are buying policies or alive, in the case of Medicare, you will get money, from your previous sales. And you're going to maintain your members happy. If there's a change in the plan, you're going to move them from one product to the other, and that's it. But you will do that. So year one is probably a most difficult one. Year two gets a little harder, or easier rather, I'd say. And then in time, it becomes nice breeze, and you basically have 4 or 5 years worth of income that is coming in guaranteed. Whether you do stuff or not, you're still going to make money. Now, this is not an opportunity to just quit, everything. Ultimately, you don't have to work for other places now because you have enough revenue. You've basically matched whatever current situation you have now, or even exceeded it. Let's say you're making 100,000. Now you're making 200,000. You don't need to worry about working for someone. You're independent.
Right.
There is an opportunity also of growth. You can open your own agency, right? And now have other folks, teach people how to do it the same way you did it. And now basically you're giving them an opportunity to make money, and you get overrides. You can still sell on the side if you wanted to, and you can still earn your money from the previous sales, and you still get override for the sales of your agent. So there is a lot to do here, and it's plenty of opportunity. Right. I'm going to stop there.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's a little overwhelming, but it makes me think that you have so much going on, like creating the network, the TV network, and creating this brokerage. There must be infrastructure that you can already tap into, because I can't imagine that you could really coordinate and build all that really from scratch. So there must be larger companies that you're working with to make all this work. Is that right?
Yes. Well, so depends. On the media side, none. It was literally from scratch. I mean, obviously, I'm using what the systems are in place, and I create my own systems. But I mean, I'm using platforms, Facebook. I mean, social stuff that's already out there. But in the insurance space, you are selling carriers, right? So you have to contract with carriers. So there's ways to do this, but for the easy way is to affiliate with another agency, or in my case, because of the expertise and stuff like that, we work with an FMO. FMO is Field Marketing Organization, and basically it is an organization that is contracted with health plans or carriers nationally or locally, and basically their job is to recruit, train, and basically produce for these plans, right? And so that's all they have to do. Now, an FMO is the highest ranking, and between FMO and agent, there's a whole levels that you can be, like a general agency, MGA, SGA, so a lot of acronyms, but they all do the same thing, and there's overrides in between. And basically, the FMO contract with a carrier is a simple contract where there are rules and regulations and expectations. There's a payment to the agency or the FMO for their admin work. And then there is, expectations in terms of compliance and so on and so forth. In exchange, instead of the carrier looking to hire their own people, they just contract with these agencies, and they have the ones, they bring in a couple of thousand brokers that sell those products. They certify them. They go through the compliance process, whatever they need to do to comply. And then now they have agencies. Now, in my role, what I did is I created an agency under an FMO, and basically I'm almost like an FMO level, if you want to call it this way. But here's the difference. When you're an FMO, you're responsible for a lot more than if you're an agency. Meaning, I'm not responsible for the compliance piece and stuff. I'm responsible for compliance, being compliant.
Right.
But I'm not responsible to run the operations behind it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there are certain things that we don't have to do. The FMO does. Okay. The FMO is responsible, and we are responsible to the FMO. So everybody's, vicarious liability. Everybody's kind of like connected. But instead of me worrying about the operations and running all that, having a compliance officer, blah, 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 I don't have to deal with that. All I have to do is recruit, train, sell, produce. Done. Compliantly. Okay. And I keep I'm going to keep using the word compliantly. In insurance world, where licensed agents are licensed, it's a state license. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. It's not an easy, course or state exam, if you want to call it. These exams are pretty difficult to a degree. I mean, they're up there with the Series 7 and 6 and all those. So they're up there. And so when you get them, you want to maintain them. One, rule number one, then you have to do your CEs every 2 years. And so that's one. And you have to be compliant, because if you're not compliant, you will not be able to work with carriers, because they'll kick you out.
That's
and
right.
And then if you can't sell the products, you have no products to sell, then you have no business, right? You can't do this. So that's it. So you have to maintain correctly. Was that good enough?
That's excellent. That's excellent. I love it. So how long, I know the TV network is fairly new. How long have you had the brokerage?
Brokerage was 2017. And there's a story behind it too. So there's always a story, right? I was a chief sales marketing officer for a company, and then just to again, I'm going to share with you. It's funny because when you work for companies, you never know what to expect. I was on vacation. I showed up. Literally, I flew in on Sunday night. Monday, I get called. We closed in the company. Literally, that was it. Call everybody. We're out.
Wow.
It was exactly the same day. So Sunday in, I was like, you should have just told me. I would have extended my vacation. you know, and so that was the end of it. But I had a team, and the first thing I was like, well, and we were close to the annual election period in the Medicare space, which is like October, and this happened literally in August. And there's not enough room between most of the plans. By that time, they already have staff in and everything lined up. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult. So the idea was, let me create an agency so we all can make this AEP worth it, and we can still survive and make enough money, and so on and so forth. At the same time, what I did is promote the reps, and some of them got into a job, some of them didn't continue with the agency. That was the story behind it.
Excellent. Okay, great.
It was just for that.
Okay. We've got a little bit of time left, but doing my research on you, I noticed that in 2019, you filed a U.S. patent for an inflatable scaffolding. I have no idea how that fits into everything else you're doing, but can you tell us that story?
It's an interesting story. So yes. I happen to live in a home where I have cathedral ceilings, high ceilings. And in 2018, I think it was a bad storm, and we had replaced our roof. And but there were leaks into the actual house, and the ceiling had those stains. And I went to the Home Depot and everywhere to try to find a scaffolding to actually be able to go out there with. I mean, I had somebody to do it, but they could not do it. And to really even lease one of those scaffoldings to bring them, it's a lot of heavy metal stuff and pieces. And to put them really in a living room, it's not as easy. And we even try to get the highest potential ladder that there is, at least an A ladder. Right. And we couldn't find something that was high enough. So it was very difficult. So and then I have, my mom lives with me. She's elderly, and she lives on the second floor. And then at the time, an idea that I need to be able to do this. So I looked also at those what do you call them? The collapsible scaffolds, where you like the lift. You see them scissor ones. They call them scissor lifts. Yeah. So you see those, but they're heavy and they're like propane, and you can't bring that in the house. You can't even get it in the house, right? So it's like, well, we need something portable. So an idea came, was like, you know what? Why don't I just go and inquire about this and make it an invention? And that's exactly what I did. So I did the research. I did all the discovery stuff. We looked to see if there's anything similar, nothing. And then we basically put the plans together and submitted it to the patent office. And about 2 years later, I think we got approved as a utility patent, 20 years. And and that was it. So the ILS was born, and it's a very portable concept. I have yet to license it. I've been actually trying to market it and try to get people to get into the concept. Maybe someone will hear about it and will be interested in the concept, because I can see a lot of use for it. Not just, think about it. That's why it's lift and scaffolding. You can lift up, pretty safe. You can carry stuff. You can go as close to the ceiling as you can. It is portable and inflatable. It uses inflatable, stuff. So it's light also. You can use a power outlet or a generator if you want. So it's got all these things, and it's good. So that was it.
Wow. Well, aren't you something? That's amazing. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, you've got so many entry points into your work. So how would you like to tell people to get a hold of you?
Well, again, I'm all over the map. so LinkedIn is an easy one. Hisham El Anmari or Hurricane H. I have 2 profiles. You can get there. If you go to Health Plans, myhealthplans.com, that's my other thing. If you go to the Fit and Fab channel, you'll find me, or the fitandfab.com, you'll find me. We also have an actual cosmetic company, so that's organissimanewyork.com. So that's another one. So we're doing different things, and these are all believe it or not, these were all side things. And until recently, I was still working in the corporate world. So.
Wow.
And this was all done part-time, and my wife is doing some other work on the side, and that's it. So it is not the easy way, like Hurricane H at iHealthRadioUSA.com. That will be the email to get to me. But like I said, if you can download the app and still connect with me, you can go to the website. I have a few of them, as I said. The other one is www.theambctvnetwork.com. And you can reach out to me anywhere, anytime, for insurance, for media, for podcasting, for the ILS. If you want to talk business there, we're open.
Excellent. Yeah, I will definitely be checking out more of your work and probably using some of your services. That TV network really is sounds very exciting. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you very much for speaking with me, Hurricane. I appreciate it very much.
My pleasure, and thank you for making the time. I know it was difficult to make it happen and squeeze in, but we made it. That's all.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. All right, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.